Benapa? Target kandi the mela agui payba.
No.
Nó đuối sọc vào là nó phải không ạ?
To try to understand the officer's feeling, the parents of the victim were sitting right there. How cold-hearted do you have to be to look at the parents of the victim and try to say emphasize with the officers? You have a child, you have a kid, and somebody was punching your kid on the floor. Doesn't matter what you did or did it wrong. You're gonna say that was too much. And let me tell you another thing. Another thing, your chief of staff. You guys came up.
So it's question time.
I'm going to offer this.
Hey. Okay, I went to Tera Jajay, I went, but with us.
With us.
Penapa no. With us, Betul betul kalau ni buat kita with us pala jurasu di mana? With us. Me.
Thôi mẹ bố mà, nghe về chung. Đây.
No, this is the first step. As I mentioned earlier, we're just gathering information to proceed.
Hello, with us now.
Okay, with us no, with us
Can I say something?
Thank you for coming.
With the generation, with my generation, with the older generation, there's disconnect, okay? And I want to let you know that we understand that you guys want us to remain calm. I understand. But it's hard. We're angry. We're young. We're suppressed it, and you tell them to suppress it. It's hard.
No.
I'm so sorry.
Excuse me. Sorry, but I do want to mention something. One of the first things I said was the fact that I do not want you to suppress your anger. I do not want you to stop grieving in this room. That is why I listened, regardless of what was going on and how it was being expressed. So if somebody is expressing something like that in times like this, you do have to listen, and it has to come out. And it's understood, okay? So don't be mad at her for feeling that way, okay? Please.
Yeah, awani mo. Temelo wata di wana paglele tadi kwa agala. Pe edo he kwa ta se to ko wade la basa di no beteni. Ta ke ine me wana pa hine wana information di la lepo madi le le kwa chino le ne o. Wa he ku he pawa o pa ba madi le. Ta si kwa le si kwa si depan ne ke le to wana le awani ne atak ro si depan ne o. Pa me ba le khu wana le ado di lawyer ke kleni wata si kwa ne o ke he ki cho ta ka ma we got to try more. Upon in the can order by $8 for Cassignata, Hekero, the delay, Mukane, what Tapia Willie, now hold it all. Take can if $8, Pokemon we get better like this sort of wagon, and a sequada or a tati o, a whole in a Pokemon call guitar. The mail but the apple podum, Terra General. When again, a fever dinner. Basta the Naki, Tama way in the Petepe, Ipocabe, Ila to be better. Pagkabas yang mari, na ako ni awan ni pagkamata ko lagi kita, na ako ni paglalagla next question pala na.
Hi, Mayor Cleany. Many members of our community have long experienced discrimination by the police, with their concerns often being ignored or minimized. Additionally, there are widespread perceptions that individuals within the administration and the police department protect each other, sweeping issues under the rug to avoid accountability. It's also troubling that historically, many career recruits who go through the police academy end up dropping out due to racism within the department. What specific steps will your administration take to address these issues and ensure transparency and rebuild trust between the police and our community?
So I can only speak to the first 6 months. For my whole life, I just haven't dealt with that. I don't deal with it. When people act in a way that's racist or prejudiced, I call it out, whether it's the color of skin or gender or anything like that. I've had to do interviews for police officers, firemen, DPW workers, everyone. And that's something that myself and my chief of staff always keep an ear out for. It's not just a specific question you have to ask. You have to listen to how people phrase their sentences, how they approach themselves. You need to genuinely understand that somebody you hire is going to be a good person to any person. And that's what I can do. As far as everything that happens in the past, I can't speak to that. But the people that currently exist, I've already dealt with within the ranks of employment, people trying to discriminate against people. That's one of the biggest reasons I brought in human resources. I know that sounds like crazy, like corporate, but I'm establishing a work ethic within our city where our new generation of people truly can thrive within, because I want people to want to work for the city and feel that every single person who works for the city treats them with respect. Because if you build that, not just in the police department or the fire department or DPW, but even City Hall, then the people will also see that and feel that. It takes time. I do think we're in a good place right now, but I always believe in consistent improvement over and over and over again. You can always be better.
Okay, yeah, the quarter me more. What they were for Valerian, what about the Niginia? Who need not? Tell us to do Danny. Where let father do Dali, do Damachine, a cafe, do Danny, met to let you near, no one much on the favor.
So, that officer was serving in the military for how many years? Like 6 years, So if there's someone in a combat situation, if they have someone already under their custody, you're not allowed to shoot someone that is being already detained, but only that detainee, let's say run away, you be able to shoot, or if they shoot back at you've been fired upon, you fire. But this case, someone that's already been under detained, you're not allowed to shoot it. So my next question is that he's been already chased down on the ground, and then they're already being able to under control, and at close range, are they still allowed to shoot him to death? Whether he has weapons or not, they already subdued him on the ground. One officer's already on top of him, and second one came and shoot him close range. Is it still justifiable, allowable?
So
So, the two grown male officers, they push him down, press him down, and then still like shot at him, is this the right thing or justifiable? As a leader with common sense, I need you to figure it out. Thank you.
Can you please ask him if he wants me to address it or if he was just addressing me to consider his?
He wants you to address it.
Okay. I'm going to address this with a scenario. Okay.
I'm asking him to interpret for you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. While this may sound insensitive, I'm going to speak in. I'm going to speak in just very specifics. Because the question was very technical in nature. Now, if responding officers have to meet deadly force with deadly force, that is the policy. Whether or not somebody is standing or laying on the ground facing you. Or wrestling with you actively. A gun in the hand is regarded as a gun in the hand. Now, in this specific situation, the Attorney General's office is going to review every single frame of that video. And if the Attorney General tells us we did something wrong, then we will take all actions necessary. I watched the videos, but I did not sit there and stop every single frame. I will be. I've been, over the past 3 days, doing a lot of this, but I'm going to stop every frame for my own sanity's sake. But that is what the Attorney General's office and forensic scientists are going to be doing. And the Attorney General is not on our side. It's not on my side or the city's side. The Attorney General works for you.
Attorney General, let me see your process, your process, the certain little papa, see your process, the certain little papa, the make by the papa,
But to specifically answer your question, if the gun is still in someone's hand, regardless of this situation, the gun is still in the hand. And unless someone was visibly unconscious, physically unconscious, that gun has to be treated as a threat to everyone around it. I can't answer that question. And it's not that I can't. I wasn't there. I wasn't one of the responding officers.
Before we start on that question, can I just make a quick comment?
So obviously, Mayor Galimi is here to answer the questions that we have, and there are different concerns and perspectives on this. And I just want you to take note that as he's answering these questions, if you don't like the answers, then get organized, right? So expressing our anger in that way. So yeah, just keeping that in mind.
So just to add something to Chloe, it's not just to get organized. We literally brought the people you would talk to. It's the Citizens Public Safety Advisory Board. If you don't like something I'm saying, if you don't like how the police are acting, if you feel the police are doing something that you think is wrong, that is who you address that with. Because if you don't feel comfortable addressing it with us, you take it to them, because they are a third-party advisory board that works for you. We brought them here for that reason.
Hello. So I just have a couple things that I want to ask about. One of the very first things that we heard about was how this particular officer has in his record, in his performance review, that sometimes the report is not correct, and he did not fix it. That was one of the marks against him, was that there was an incorrect report that he needed to fix, and he didn't do it because he didn't check his email. And then as to the racism comments from another person, I'm white. I live in Utica. I live on Lenox Ave. One of the things in this Facebook post that was made by the UPD that was brought up is that another reason these kids were stopped was because they're walking in the middle of the street. Every single day I see people walking in the middle of the street on Lenox Ave. I see like people, black people, Asian people, people of all different races and cultures. I often see a very heavy UPD presence over in that area. I live right on Lenox and Noyes. There's a very heavy UPD presence over there at all hours of the day. I watch people walking in the middle of the street with shopping carts, with strollers, just by themselves, and I see UPD drive right past them. They never stop. They never talk to them, at least in my observation. And so I guess and I also know that this is politics. I understand that there are certain things that you can't say. I don't mean that in a derogatory way, although I just mean I understand there are certain things that you can't answer because you're waiting on the Attorney General and you're waiting on the investigations. But how can you ask people to trust the reports when it's already shown that sometimes the report's not correct? That's in his file. And I understand anger. I'm very angry about this. This particular community, but I am a member of Utica, the great community as a whole. I care for my city. I care for everybody in my city, and I am so sick of not just here, but all across our country, seeing police brutality and not feeling like we got justice. And so I know you don't necessarily have an answer.
No, I do have an answer for this, actually, because it's more policy than specific to this situation.
But how can we trust the report when it's like, I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say,
it's okay.
My piece. Thank you.
So there's two things. One, that's why there's body cam footage. Okay. And the body cam footage is just free running. Okay. And there's multiple officers with body cam footage. Okay. So all of that body cam footage from multiple different angles is literally time stamped as well, time synchronized. So all of that camera footage will be analyzed by forensic scientists, right? So that, as far as a report goes, in the situation we have in our hands at the AG's office under review, it's going to be about that body cam footage, not a report, first off. Second of all, about the police presence. I know the neighborhood you live in because my Aunt Anna used to live on Lenox Ave, and my cousin Jimmy still lives in her house. The reason there's a heavier police presence is because it's consistently and constantly requested by the people that live in that neighborhood. Okay? Yeah, specific for that. The second thing, why are people not pulled over walking in the road in one place and not in another? It's all independent situations. This wasn't just walking in the road. Okay, this is something I can speak to. So our criminal investigation division had ongoing investigations of robberies in that same area within the past few nights, and the reports lined up with the description of the two youth walking? That's just simple answer, right? Now, the last thing I want to address, you can ask another question, but the last thing I want to address is this. We had one child murder another child in January. We had a security officer get shot by someone last year, okay? We have been tasked with taking guns out of the hands of youth. It's been demanded by the public. It was demanded by everyone in this room last year, over and over again, because of the safety of this city. It was demanded by every single person I interacted with that we have to take guns out of the hands of kids. And we do that daily, day in and out. We report it all the time that we're doing that. Now, this wasn't, hey, we're looking for a gun in some kid's hand. This was the past few nights in the same neighborhood, in the exact same time frame, between 10 and 11 p.m., robberies happened, and it just fit the description. So they just did a stop. They just wanted to stop, ask some questions, and it went the way it went. And I can't change that. I wish I could. But the past is now, unfortunately, has us where we are with another youth deceased. What's your follow-up?
If that's the case, and I understand that they're following up on a previous crime, why would they make it a point? I know that these are very meticulously worded, these Facebook posts, and obviously any press release, somebody's going over it and making sure that they are choosing every word very specifically. So why would they bring up the point that in addition, they were violating the law by walking in the middle of the street? That paints a negative picture of the victim.
It doesn't. It's no different if you get a DWI. No, if you're driving down the road, okay, if you're driving down the road and you have a taillight out, you get pulled over, okay? That kicks off a whole situation. It just so happened that they were walking in the road that was noted, and they also fit the description. It's exactly what it says in that Facebook post. It's just what it is. Sorry.
So at this time, we can't take any more questions. I apologize due to time constraint. But before we close it out, I do have one last question for Mayor Galimi. So my question is, what protocol for pursuit and gun discharge did the officers follow? Because the way he took care of that situation, I don't want public safety to look like that. And if somebody looks suspicious, can you just shoot them before asking questions? You know, like if like the gun was the issue, are we gonna, is safety like you ban all toy guns? Is that what safety is? So what does safety actually look like? What protocol was being followed or violated as he was doing this?
I don't know the book number protocol because I'm not a police officer myself. I just don't. What I can say is I've spent over a decade reviewing body cam footage of different events. And when somebody is stopped and everything is going fine and you're going to frisk them and all of a sudden they take off, you do pursue them. I've seen that happen multiple times and it's not been like, it's not out of the question. That's all I can say.
Thank you.
I'm Stephen Patterson, the former commissioner of the city of Utica Codes and DPW. And you made a statement about racism. First of all, you don't know racism. You do not know racism. These people know racism. I know racism. In the Utica history, only one officer has ever been disciplined for doing wrong. I won't mention his name. There is a history of police and community dysfunction. It is real. The people in here not mentioning this, if it's not true. We live this every day. You don't. I'll let you speak, and I understand, I respect that you came here and doing what you do. But I have over 200 calls this weekend from Black people, brown people saying, I'm scared of my child being killed. Do you understand the magnitude of this. You really need to understand this. This is the George Floyd of what's going to go on. We're going to wait for the investigation to be over with, and you respect, and I respect what you're doing. You're not hiding nothing. I respect Chief Williams. They all know me. Okay? So when you talk about police reports, I had 21 criminal charges against me. All lies on report. I beat everyone without a lawyer. Okay, I have a history here. I've sued the city and won, okay, because I have a history here. So my history tells you this, that you need to understand. If these people are saying there is racism with the police department that we are feeling, it is your duty and the chief's duty. You have the power. Not only do you have the power, your city charter tells you that you can hire a human relationship commissioner or a public safety commissioner to oversee what is going on in the city. So we're not going to accept it. And believe me, this community is being calm now. They're being heard all over Australia. They're being over the world news, man. You have something, and we're here to support you, not to go against you. I may sound emotionally, but we're here to support you. And to be supportive, we really have to be open. We have to be honest. If there's somebody doing something wrong, we have to chastise it. We have to put it under the ground. Time is over. This is not the 1960s. These young people will destroy this city. So, listen, can I call you brother? I'm going to call you brother. I've been in touch. As soon as this came to me at 11 o'clock at night, the night it happened to me. I got all the footage you ain't even seen yet. This came to me. And when I seen it, I stayed up all night calling CNN, NBCC, the Attorney General office, Benjamin Crump, because that's the magnitude that you see. I'm not saying your officer is wrong or right. That's not my decision. But if there is somebody, a people saying that we are not and we're tired of it, we're tired of it. So I know you got a lot to swallow. And I'm not angry with you because I cried for that boy. I cried for him like a little child. I cried for him. Okay? I lost a Cambodian sister who had her head blown off in the city of Utica, and I cleaned the blood myself. So these are my people. And I'm going to do everything I can. I don't care how I do it, how long it takes. I'm going to fight for their justice. And I want you to fight along with me. Thank you.
All right, so that concludes the Q&A portions. Next, we'll go into announcement for future happenings. Interpreter. Okay. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, there will be a Common Council meeting to discuss current issues. There won't be public comment, but once there are future Common Council meetings happening, we will let you know. So please keep posted on that information. So when you come tomorrow, please bring signs, and that will be at 11 o'clock at City Hall. And also, some of you might have already seen that there's a GoFundMe page on Facebook that's going around. If you can, please share it and donate it. And we'll keep you posted with action items after the community leaders meet at some point soon.
Patara kedu Willy no, ta bubasinya du Willy maka pakeklo du bubasinya la Willy. Pasal na gitu kelo belela ta rata ke pelari bani. Yukewi ta suba pakau ada la sikwa pada mana. Pasal na ke wani la sora berdobu open talo kiri gane ada ke pangnya kuba. Naki has to poba. Lewat gane ada ke pangnya kuba has to poba. Aku ni pe ada hi ada sekto. Kita suka siam lah. Terkelo pa polisi no. No.
Nhà lửa. Ate Esther na biba se.
Me nasi kwa so ya na. Nasi kwa ulat. Ni malah kuku bone ni la na. So we're gonna ask. We only take 2 questions right now, and then I will go to closing remark.
Jika mau orang henemu tena lah keluar keluar. Mam tak ada pun. Tak kau yang sikwa mir lah.
Yes, a question for you, Mayor.
Lah beli lah, lah beli kau le.
Yes, it's
So I had a quick question. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Brendan Dunn. I'm from Utica originally. I live in Cambodia now. I'm just here visiting for a month and a half to see my family. And I come home to see this. Now, when I explain to my friends in Cambodia and Thailand and Vietnam what happened here in Utica, what happens in the US generally, they're confused, they're perplexed, they're angry because this doesn't happen there. I mean, the fact of the matter is, some estimates are 1,000 or 1,500 people a year are killed by the police. And sadly, that's happened in our city yet again. What I'm witnessing here is history repeating itself. And for those of you who don't know this, this is really important information. I'd say it's history repeating itself, and what I'm hearing from the mayor, what I'm hearing from the police, with the tragic killing, the tragic murder, I would say, of a resident, of our beloved resident, a friend, a brother, a son, a cousin, a classmate in our community. This has happened before multiple times. So in 2013, there was another teenager that was killed by the Utica police. And also he was a person of color. He was indigenous, native, Mohawk, Tlingit teenager who for months and months was harassed by the Utica police, was stalked by the Utica police. His brother was viciously beaten by the Utica police in response to him speaking out to police brutality against another person of color. And the reason maybe you don't know about all of this, the fact of the matter is most people don't report to a board or to the police or to the mayor or talk to a lawyer or sue the police because they feel like they will not be heard. They feel like justice will not be done. And with this family in particular, his name is Jesse Lee Rose, the teenager that was killed in 2013, tragically. His family, in their words, fled for their lives. They ran for their lives from the city of Utica and moved to Plattsburgh because of the continued harassment and repression and violence from the police. And the mayor then covering that up and refusing to do anything about it. The last thing I will say, history repeating itself. In 2005, I remember Walter Washington, a black man, black father, was killed by the police in front of his little children, in front of his girlfriend on Oneida Street. The same thing happened. The police lied to the community. They kept changing their narrative. They kept changing their... Also, a pellet gun. First, exactly, it's the same exact thing. I have the same emotions, the same feelings. What happened then? The officer that killed Walter Washington had administrative paid leave, or what a lot of people like to call paid vacation, was brought back on the force. And what happened to him years later? He was promoted to sergeant. All right, so the question, not just to you, Mayor, but to the entire establishment here, to the police and everyone, is how can people trust the city government? How can people trust the police when there is a very long record, as Yadana pointed out earlier, as others have just pointed out, of the police abusing, racially profiling, harassing, beating, and nothing happening to them? This is happening yet again. So how are people going to trust the police and trust the mayor, trust the city council, trust the establishment when those same killers are still on the force? Nothing happened to them. Jesse Lee Rose and Walter Washington. I believe the same thing will happen unless, as Kay and others had mentioned earlier, unless people keep up the heat, people keep protesting, people keep going out in the streets, and people keep demanding justice. And whenever anyone says, don't do that, protesting is violent, doing this is violent, you need to talk, the mayor and the police are willing to listen. That's it, they're willing to listen. It's for optics. Don't listen to that. Keep up the pressure. Because you find one city or town in the whole country where a cop who killed someone was brought to justice, was fired, charged, convicted, and sent to prison because people were being respectable and people just want a seat at the table and wanted to talk and speak truth to power. That doesn't exist. The only way change happens, as many of you already know, in Myanmar, in the United States, is through people power. And that's what we need here. I don't have a question for you, Mayor, but I want to say, keep up the fight.